Hi, and welcome to the NBA show. My name is Morten Jensen, and today we'll be discussing Jonas Valanciunas. Stay tuned. The Memphis Grizzlies are currently 13-13 in the Western Conference. That means they're an even 500. And they're kind of in the play-in tournament picture, but they're not a well-established playoff team quite yet. That's very understandable. Ja Morant is still just a second-year guy. Jaren Jackson hasn't played. Brandon Clark is a second-year guy as well. So there is going to be this learning curve before they become like a fully fledged, well-established, year-in, year-out NBA playoff team. That said, they could help their chances a little bit because Jonas Valanciunas has been routinely underutilized, not just by the Memphis Grizzlies, but also by the Toronto Raptors when he played there. And on the surface, it does make some sense as to the logic of it, because when you are a big center, and Valanciunas qualifies as that, he's 7 feet, roughly 260, you primarily want to score near the basket, and Valanciunas is a back-to-the-basket player. He is a guy who will take some time to dribble the ball and get into the position before he shoots. And that is something that the NBA has started to frown upon, understandably so, because it milks the clock, it takes away ball movement, it isn't necessarily a great shot. That said, Valanciunas converts at an extremely high rate. And there's also the added benefit of him being a very good free throw shooter. So even if he does take a significant portion of time to get into the flow of his offense, odds are he'll have a high percentage shot, whether that come from the field or from the free throw line. That doesn't really matter. He is a guy who can get you at least 16 points and 11 rebounds. We'll get back to the rebounding in very limited minutes. We're talking about just 26 or so what he's playing right now. But imagine what he could do with 32. Imagine what he could do offensively and on the glass as your starting center for that amount of minutes. Like, yes, you can say that there is a risk of the offense growing a little bit stagnant, but that's where the component of Ja Morant comes in. I don't think by extending Valanciunas' minutes, it's going to affect them negatively. Actually, I think for Morant to have someone of Valanciunas' caliber, especially offensively, playing alongside him for a larger extent of the minutes is going to help him. It's going to give him a proper screen option, someone who he can play off of to a greater extent. And you know what? It doesn't really hurt for Memphis to also squeeze out additional points. There are often times when you look at their scores and you watch their games and you go, they could really use a basket right now. Valanciunas is that answer. And yes, there are defensive concerns. When you put him in pick and rolls, he is slow-footed. He is not one of those agile Rudy Gobert, Ben Simmons types. He's just not. And look, you have to gauge it, right? You have to value what do you want to be if you're the Memphis Grizzlies. Do you want to put an emphasis on defense? Then yes, playing him the amount of minutes that you do now, that's fine. Go ahead. It makes sense. That said, you are leaving a lot of points on the table by not having him on the court all that much. This is a guy who finishes over 70% of his shots within 3 feet of the basket, and if you even take that out into within 10 feet of the basket, he's extremely efficient, well over 56% as well. In short, everything inside 10 feet is a good shot for Jonas Valanciunas. And like I mentioned before, the free throw shooting. He's in the mid 70s, sometimes late 70s. That is a perfect efficiency number for someone his size and for a center. They might as well utilize it. If he can end up just drawing a ton of fouls and get to the free throw line while converting inside, push it, squeeze it, and then let Ja Morant and Brandon Clark until Jaren Jackson comes back play off of that. Like right now, the offense is going through Ja, which no problem there. He's an elite point guard, but it's also going through Dillon Brooks, who's about as efficient as I am. You know, this is a guy who thinks he's Kobe, and he's not. He's shooting under 40% from the field, and he's just jacking up weird shots and really weird shot selection generally. Why would you not want to take a portion of those shots and go through Valanciunas instead? It makes sense. You go from a low efficiency player to a high efficiency player. You can't tell me that's not going to improve the team, again, from an offensive perspective. And yes, you have to gauge it. Like I said, you need to figure out the proper balance. But there's another component working in Valanciunas' favor as well, the rebounding. Valanciunas is an elite rebounder. Over the past 2 seasons, this one and last, Valanciunas is grabbing over 11 rebounds per game, and he's doing so while playing around 26 minutes per ball game. Like, let me just reiterate that stat: 11 rebounds per game in 26 minutes. If you calculate those or break them down into a per 36 minute, we're looking at someone who'll grab you between 14 and 15 rebounds per game if he's given full-time starter minutes. And here's the kicker: offensive rebounds is one of his fortes. This team is jacking up shots at a high rate, and they aren't really all that efficient. Having Valanciunas in there to just gobble up second chance opportunities, even though the NBA has started to deprioritize rebounding, having an offensive rebounder who can gain you additional possessions should still be valuable, especially for the Grizzlies. They're young. They are going to need as many possessions as they can possibly have. Running the offense through Valanciunas is not what I'm suggesting. Don't worry. The offense should still be in the hands of Ja Morant. He's got the keys to the franchise. He's got the keys to the offense, and he's the primary decision maker. I'm not trying to pivot away from that, but utilizing Jonas Valanciunas to a much higher degree, both offensively and just extending his minutes so you get more rebounds on both ends of the court, is going to secure you possessions. Yes, he's not a defensive stopper, but that's fine. Right now, offense is objectively more important than defense. You know, the whole idea that it's half, the game is half defense and half offense, highly flawed. In today's game, great offense will always beat great defense. And if you have someone of Jonas Valanciunas' caliber, especially from a scoring perspective, utilize it, even if he's a bit old school. Then when Jaren Jackson comes back and he starts launching, 8, 9, 10 threes per game, and he's really good at it, by the way, then you can pivot away from that and make it into a more multifaceted offense. But until then, use Jonas Valanciunas. He's there. He's ready. He is extremely productive. It just does not make any sense to waste that talent. Hey guys, thank you for watching this video. Since you're all hoops fans, I was hoping that I could interest you in a basketball webinar that I conducted with former NBA video coordinator Mo Dakhil, who spent a lot of time with both the Los Angeles Clippers and the San Antonio Spurs, not to mention the Australian national team's basketball team. So if you're interested in listening to what Mo has to say, you should sign up for the webinar that's going to be live on February the 25th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll hit the link here in the description. Sign up, share with your friends. I would greatly appreciate it. Plus, Mo gave me a tremendous amount of insights that I think you would really enjoy. So thank you. I hope to see you on the 25th. Take care.